Hey, great day, everybody. So, in today's podcast episode, we are going to be talking about letting go of the past, giving yourself grace in new seasons, and stepping into the future that is planned for you. So, I know that the title may definitely come by surprise of why did I intentionally choose to cut over $400,000 of revenue in a year. Okay. So it sounds crazy, but trust me, this is not about money. It is about peace, priorities, and purpose. So, I'm going to be sharing 5 things to consider if you are feeling stuck, if you are feeling like you're at capacity, if you feel like you are overthinking, maybe not hitting your goals, or overall, you are just not happy. So, this is not only for someone as it relates to being in business or, entrepreneurship. This is not just for if you are a mental health provider. This is for anyone who may feel like you need to take a step back, because what we're really going to be diving into is that a person's true nature is revealed by their inner thoughts and intentions, not just their words or actions. So let's go ahead and hop into today's podcast episode. Hey, so let's go ahead and jump into it. Point number one. So, what we dwell on shapes us. So, when you really think about this, your thoughts become your reality. So, whatever you are meditating on, whatever you are thinking about throughout the day, including in your sleep, on eventually shows up in your life, right? So, if you're always looking back, like what we call the rearview mirror, you will get stuck in replaying old stories, old narratives, and really falling into what I see as a reflection problem, which is you are doing a comparison with who you are versus where you want to be versus where you were. And that can turn into a trap. And so I want to share with you throughout this episode with examples of how I have found myself comparing my old self to my current self to where I want to be. So I'll give you like 3 examples. One of them is health. So I am, at the time of this recording, I'm 44. So I don't believe that I'm old, but chronologically, we are what? Mid age. I'm mid age, right? So I know logically that my body does not work the same in terms of how my metabolism is set up, flexibility, and all the things. It doesn't mean that you cannot have great metabolism or flexibility, but you have to work for it, right? And so I also know that if I compared myself, which I do at times, into even how I lost weight a year and a half ago, let alone 5 years ago, 8 years ago, my body is not the same. My hormones are not the same. And so, versus me doing a shake routine, I may need to actually go get a holistic workup to look at my blood levels, to look at what's beyond me looking at my weight and how I feel in my body. I need to really understand what else is playing a role in terms of my energy levels, in terms of me being able to lose weight, tone up, and all the things, right? Then, if we look at entrepreneurship, I can get into the habit of looking at my numbers when it comes down to launching a product. And I may say, okay, in this season, how was I showing up as to why I was able to close 5 clients, 30, 20 clients, right, in a month? And maybe last month I only closed one, right? So, of course, we talk to our clients about in our community through business mentorship around being grateful for the one, being grateful for the five. But I'm human. And it's not that if you have this coming up, it's not that you're not grateful. It's just that by human nature, you're comparing what you used to be able to produce in comparison to what you're currently doing and really trying to figure out what is wrong, right? I know I'm not by myself on that. And so I have to be really careful, though, that I'm not allowing that level of energy to consume me versus looking at what can I do right now? Now, the third area is more about juggling different streams of income. So, this logically and emotionally, I don't do, but it doesn't mean that someone else does not do it. So, I could compare 10, 8 years ago to my different marital status, not being a mom, working at 3 colleges, running a group practice, working overtime at my job, just having my hand in so many freaking pots. But now when I look at my energy, I'm like, I still wake up early. But let's be real with a 7-year old, 14-year old, married, boy energy in my home, and also quality of sleep and all those things that are important that I take seriously, those things have changed in the last decade. So if I choose, which I don't, to compare my old version of myself and trying to figure out how I was able to, I see all these memes on social media, like, back in the day, we were able to like take a Red Bull. I don't drink Red Bulls, but I'm just saying, like, we were able to drink a Red Bull, go to the club, go to work, and still produce great with 3 hours of sleep. Well, that's not my life right now. So I cannot or I should not be comparing what I used to be able to do compared to what I am able to do right now, primarily because my life is set up different. So I want you to ask yourself, where are you replaying an old version of yourself and making that a standard for today? Okay. And what I'm going to do, like a little mini class, is I'm going to, depending on if you're listening to this on YouTube or the audio podcast, just check the show notes, check the description box. I'm going to copy and paste these reflective questions because I really want you to think about these things after this episode. Okay. Number two is the danger of living in the past. And so when you look back at your past, your circumstances, your blessings, your setbacks, it might be because your heart is still tied to an old place, either for the good or not for the good. So when you typically look back, you want to give like your brain a voice. And your brain and your heart is saying, hey, maybe my treasure is still buried there. And that's what can happen when you're looking in the past is that you're constantly going backwards. You're constantly in a car, literally sitting at a light and or hopping on the freeway and going forward, but you're constantly looking back, trying to think if you should go back there. And I want you to think about how much time that is consuming. Okay. So if you are able to look forward, you are actually going to be gaining back time because you're going to be, intentionally making moves. Versus if you constantly are looking back, I want you to think about what that is costing you because your future already knows what it wants you to be, become, do, and all the things. And it wants to actually prepare you to get there. But really think about it. How difficult is it for something that's waiting on you to come? How difficult it is for it to wait on you and try to prepare you for it when you're constantly getting out your car and going backward. So, with this, I want to share with you how I decided to actually cut over $400,000 in gross business revenue a year and what that took me through in terms of a journey of discovering myself, things about, what I want for my family and also my energy for, different seasons. And so I'm going to take you back specifically to 2022. So I was full blown into entrepreneurship. And if I could like recap these years from 2022 to now, 2025. In 2022, I was fully living out the vision board I had created really in 2019. But of course, I had like pieces of that vision board built out over the years. And what I mean by that is I was traveling to the destinations I wanted to go to, whether it be internationally, within the United States, on a cruise, on planes, road trips, trains, all the things with my family, couples trips away. We were having a great time. Also, I was serving my ideal clients that I had been working very hard for years to niche down with. My schedule literally reflected the schedule that I wanted to a T. I was making the money. Money was not an issue, whether it be investing money, stacking up money, the way that I wanted to choose to spend my money, right? Also, marriage, fire. Everything was working in my favor. I will say in 2022, no complaints. My work ethic, when I look back, was a lot different. Now, the reason why my work ethic was different, even as it relates to how many hours I chose to put in my business and time I set aside for my family, it looked different because if I looked at even just like my youngest son, he was in daycare. So with daycare, I have more flexibility, kind of like homeschool, versus when a child is in a traditional school, right? And that's our choice. So my work ethic was different. Also, I was at what I would consider a prime. I had experienced at that point probably three quantum leaps in my business as it relates to the niche down, to the revenue, to the 8 to 10 members on a team, to doing everything that I loved in my business every single day. But I knew that I was yearning for something, but I ignored it, and I would not be able to tell you to this day what it was, but you know what I'm talking about when you feel like you have everything, but something low key is still missing, but you don't know what it is, so you're just gonna, move forward. Then in 2023 hit. I started to feel a level of unfulfillment. At first, the word unfulfillment did not come up, and I have recorded some podcast episodes on this. If I can find the exact episodes, I'll link them in the show notes. And so, because I was feeling a sense of unfulfillment, because some things did occur in my business at the end of 2022, I will dedicate an episode to talk about it because it is something that was very triggering wise emotional for me. And it took me about, no lie, a year and a half to 2 years to work through it with mentorship and coaching on my own related to something that had happened in my business. But I will, maybe the next episode or the next few, I'll dedicate an episode. But I just want to make sure that I make it where you can learn something from it, not that it's just like tea time. Okay. So in 2023, I was going through a slight emotional roller coaster, to say the least. And what I decided to do is pedal back and really be still and think about what should I be focused on that brings me purpose. And so I focused on just the pieces of my business that I loved. So there were some things that, let's just say, were supposed to be launched, but they weren't. But one of the areas that I love always is live events. Now, I prioritize in-person events first, but in-person events cost money. Okay. That's a whole nother episode as well. So I focused on having very intimate live events. I did toward the latter part of the year decide to go ahead and have another conference. So that was our second year conference, but I haven't had it since. We had about 50 therapists show up to that and social workers. I was really focused on developing products and services that focused on connection, community, that also gave me time to focus on being a mom. I really heightened up the sense of health and self-care. And I was still doing business, but I started shifting even with mental health business, not taking on any more one-on-one clients and only focusing on one-to-many. Now, moving into 2024, I did decide, and I did make that public knowledge, I let go of a program that was over $200,000 a year. And the reason I let it go was because of something that happened in 2022, plus just what I saw was potentially happening of the effects of our economy and the impact it had on the clients that I served. And I just said, you know what, maybe we pump the brakes, recalibrate. I want to do some things also with my team and restructure it. So I need to do what I teach my clients, which is to slow down, to speed up. Okay. So I closed one of our mastermind programs that was $200K a year. I started to play with different topics beyond private practice online. I hosted, again, like I said, some live events, but they were very intimate. And I did create some simple digital products, also known as ebooks and guides, that I creatively learned how to, market them and then start selling them in my sleep, meaning I was waking up to sales. Felt good. And those things are still available right now. Now that leads into 2025, right? So let me just back up. In 2023 and 2024, family was good. There were some hiccups as it relates to, blended family chaos coming back around 2023. And it ebbs and flows, which did start to impact us because kids are getting older and it impacts kids differently, right? Also, what started to change is some contractual agreements that I had with agencies, and that was ebbs and flows as well, where there were just like a lot of conversations, a lot of meetings that had to happen, and really having to like assert myself for what I signed up for and what I was supposed to get compared to what was potentially trying to be delivered. And then everything outside of that was good, but it was intentional in terms of me cutting back. In 2025, I did open back up the mastermind that had one-on-one mentorship, but I did limit it to how many seats I had. I also beta tested having it for a shorter period of time, which meant that it was half of the investment because it was only 6 months. And I learned a lot of things from that as well. That again, if you want to learn about that, I'll definitely do a podcast episode on that as well. In terms of what I learned from a program going from 10 to 11 months to 6. But that year, 2025, right now, I felt really good to have the one-on-one connection back. I really have felt overly in love with the Telegram feature, which is you are able to have coaching on demand. I kid you not, when our clients take full advantage of that feature and they recognize that I'm literally giving them a podcast episode with answers to their questions or guidance, coaching, and direction, and making them become resourceful as well as a business owner, it just takes like the connection to a whole nother level where when they are able to get on Zoom with me, it's like we could just come strategize, get off because they know that they have that accountability in between sessions. And it just feels really good, especially when they know how to use it, which means that they're literally just like recording a podcast themselves and just walking me through, the things that they've accomplished, where they feel like they're getting stuck. And a lot of times I find that the juiciest topics, at least from even what they tell me in feedback, is when they actually ask me, hey, have you ever had a time when you experienced this? And can you tell me how you maneuvered through it? Because see, they're not just utilizing coaching just to give me the answer or what should I do next. It's more about, can I learn from somebody and cut back time of solving a problem from someone who has been through it? And let me actually hear their story because people learn better through stories. Okay. So one-on-one felt really good. Also just started to get back into the zone. Not saying that I left the zone, but I really started to like create boundaries around not for everybody, regardless of me showing up like on TikTok and answering questions. So for example, I may post something about streams of income on TikTok. And that algorithm is notorious, man. If I post anything outside of it, it's just like no play, right? So people start getting really used to over there me posting about different streams of income and around the 10 to 20K months doing private practice math, doing digital product math and all those kind of things. And so I will post there maybe twice a week, sometimes once a week. It just depends on my energy. And I will get questions from pre-licensed providers asking, hey, is that something I can do with that stream of income pre-licensed? So I would answer the question. What started to happen is, and it happens in other places as well, is I would start to get questions around, oh man, I wish I had a mentor like you. Can you create a mentorship program? And here's my answer to that, like short and sweet. No, I'm not going to create a mentorship for students when I have a whole playlist on YouTube that most people don't even go to. Right. And you can listen to it. You don't even have to watch it if you don't want to. It's not like a PowerPoint. Secondly, is I define mentorship for students very differently than I do for people who are in business. So someone who wants my mentorship for going through college, first of all, I got clients who do that. So I mean, if you want help, I can always turn you on to, again, my YouTube channel where I've interviewed these individuals. But also, I find that when I've been a professor, people say they want mentorship because they want me to tell them what to do. At least that's been my experience. They want us to have some type of curriculum. And the thing is, when I was a mentee, I asked my mentor questions like, how did you choose between a master's degree and then a doctorate degree? How did you choose between a PhD and a PsyD? What made you choose your program? What made you choose that track? Can you tell me about the internship that you had? Can you tell me about some not so great supervision experiences that you had? If you don't mind, like how much money can be made in this field? Not, can you look at my resume and give me the best feedback so that I can go get a job? Right? Y'all want me to technically coach you. And sometimes the word mentorship is covered up by coaching. And I will tell you that because I started getting approached from different platforms back in 2023, 2024. And then I answered the question, which was, well, what kind of mentorship are you looking for? Because I don't want to outright just say what I just said, right? But what I started noticing is a trend of people wanted me to provide them with coaching services, but it's covered up by mentorship. Why? Because most people believe that mentorship is free, right? And so if you're a student and you're listening to this, no shade on your desire to have a mentor, but mentorship is for guidance. And if you want guidance for something that's going to have an ROI, typically there's a fee associated with it. Just like when you go to school, the ROI is they're going to teach you the information to position you to, get licensed and get a job. Right. So I just wanted to put that in there because even though I say that I'm a mentor, what I mean by that is I will guide my clients down the right path based on what program they're in. And I will also coach them. But I am a guide by nature, but guide just don't sound right on my profile. Right. And so, okay, let's get back to 2025. So outside of me recognizing that I'm not made for everyone, okay, I also realized that I was kind of going back to square one in terms of should I niche down again? Should I double down on, like I've done over the last few years, certain things that I love and keep moving forward and close some stuff down. So some of you have been witness of some products have been archived, laid off. It doesn't mean they will never come back, but right now they're not available. Okay. So let me ask you, what part of your year or in your life are you tempted to look back at? Is it old success? Is it old relationships? Is it old habits? Is it past money? Okay, moving on to part three. Seasons change and so do you. So I said it earlier, our bodies change, our hormones change, our desires change, our why changes. Okay. So entrepreneurship, for example, business and career, it's not just about what we used to do. It's about aligning with who you are now and where you want to go. So there will be seasons, I can have a testimony for this, right? There will be seasons where it is okay for you, for me to work 30 hours a week. There will be seasons where give yourself grace to pull back. There will be seasons of, for me, running large group programs, you running a high caseload practice, for example, or seeing consulting clients, having different contracts, whatever your stream of income or career type is. But there will also be seasons of intimacy. Intimacy time with your family, intimacy time with your mentees, if you're a coach, or with your clients. For me, there will be seasons, which I'm currently in, of I want to serve the clients that are in my group programs. But outside of that, I do love the intimacy of one on one mentorship. I like to see people go through a journey. So, my question for you is for this one. Have you given yourself permission to actually evolve? Or are you holding yourself hostage to an old version of you and your level of success back then? Number four, the heart follows the treasure. So, where your treasure is, there your heart will be also. That is a scripture from the Bible, Luke 12:34. Where your treasure is, there will your heart be also. So the way we're going to break this down is if you treasure the past, your treasure will be stuck in yesterday. And so will your heart. So will your emotions. So if you cannot trust in the future and God to deliver and prepare you for the direction that you're going to be stuck in the past and you won't be able to release it. You have to trust that the future version of you is waiting for you to show up. And so I want to talk to you for a few moments about the current season that I'm currently in that is the whole reason as to why I kept cutting things out, including revenue. Okay. So I'm in a current season where, I'm married. I got two boys. Now, their age right now is critical to me, 7 and 14. This was the year we knew that they had a 7-year age gap, but this was the year it started to show. We have one that wants to always be up under his brother. We do have a blended family, so he's not here all the time. The eldest, so when he is here, my younger son is clinging to him, right? We've had to have conversations with our oldest son about, hey, I know that you also have brothers from your mom and you're with them also halfway through the week. But when you come here, I know you want to be out with your friends, and that's perfectly fine. I tell him all the time, I don't even want you to be in his house. I just want you to report your whereabouts, ask for permission on where you going, etc. But like, you are 14. You should not be locked up in a room playing video games all day. You need to learn how to socialize, like, for real. Have conversations for real. I want that for him. At the same time, though, I want him to recognize that because he's not here with his younger brother, when he does come, spend a little bit of time with him. And we know that we have to teach him how to do that because he may come over here wanting to detach because he may come over here on Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, go home on Monday, go to school on Monday, etc. So he may be like, I'm free, from the other two little brothers that he have. And I'm like, you still got a little brother over here. I'm just being transparent with our story because this is a part of parenting, right? And so this summer when we went on 2 trips back to back, we really saw the love, but also the fight, like fighting in a loving way, right? Like wrestling and all those kind of things. But like team, no energy off. Okay. And so we were dreading as parents. And we were just like, oh my gosh, this is a season where we're really going to have to, like, for example, double down with the older one and talk about what it means to go to high school, independency, being assertive in class, don't fall behind, meeting with the right crowd, don't dip out with the wrong crowd. You know what I'm saying? Like all those things. And then for the little one, you're in second grade. He wants to walk home by himself. He wants to show his independence, but okay, let's go in stages. You ain't tired of school yet. It just started last week. You know what I'm saying? So we're dealing with them in 2 different stages and it's up and down. You know what I'm saying? And so me and my husband agreed that for right now, we are focusing, yes, on our marriage as well, like that's always, but we're focusing heavily on making sure that our children are raised abundantly with an abundant mindset, believing that they can still accomplish whatever they want, no matter what's going on around us, meaning our economy, the world, the schools, and all the things. And we can still show up in business, but differently, different schedules, different boundaries, different hours. So, hence, this is why I'm not even on video. I'm recording this on Sunday, August 31st. I just came back from the gym. I ate my breakfast. I did my morning routine. I did my daily devotional. And this topic is what came through my daily devotional. Now, I also want to address a pink elephant in the room related to something that some people have told me. And I'm just going to give y'all my 1000% transparent feedback. I will often poll my audience and my clients to say, how do y'all like to learn? How do y'all like to specifically consume, like when I'm doing podcasts, not a masterclass, when I'm showing slides, when one thing leads to the next, but like when I'm just talking? And most people say, I'm a visual learner. And I find that when I start talking to people, they're actually not visual learners as much as they think. And this is why. And if this is you, let your girl know in the comments or in my DM. You may swear up and down you're a visual learner in this season in your life. But I want you to think about it. What are you doing right now? Are you walking? Are you at the gym on the treadmill? Are you picking up your kids from school? Are you low key at work? Are you working on something on the computer and listening to me in the background? Are you multitasking? If that's the case, you're not even looking at the screen. So that means that you are technically using your auditory muscle. So I don't need to show up with my face for what? You're not going to follow the screen. I would rather actually deeply connect with you through audio only, because what tends to happen when you're listening to something, you will miss something and you have to rewind it because there's nothing visually stimulating you, right? And I believe that certain topics don't need a video. So let me ask you, what's the treasure that God is asking you to focus on in this season? Because my treasure is my time with my family. All right, next point is diagnose before you treat. So here's the real big pink elephant in the room. Most of us are trying to fix things by simply doing more. If I just send out that one email, I'll save my business. If I get those 5 more clients, I'll be financially good. If I just go to that masterclass, webinar, bootcamp, or retreat Dr. TK having, I'll be able to fix my business by myself. So you have to slow down enough to actually diagnose the problem. So are you burnt out because you're saying that you lack capacity? Or because you keep comparing yourself to an old standard that you have? You're looking in the rearview mirror. Are you also at capacity because you're trying to reproduce something at a different life season than what you were? So let's keep it a buck here. I am that person, and you probably are as well, where I can actually go to somebody's free event. I can learn a lot and I can implement a lot. But see, this probably needs a whole episode, right? I want to be very clear. When I've invested every year into my business, whether it be coaching, mindset, manifestation hacks, digital products, email marketing, whatever, when I've invested over the time, it stopped actually being about me learning stuff. We can learn stuff all day long for free. It was really about, how can this person teach me how to shortcut the timeline? So yes, I've paid people $24,000 for you to shortcut 5 years of pain into 12 months. I want you to hear that. Because sometimes we base our investments on, well, I don't need to learn anything new, so I'm good and I can keep going by myself. I can figure it out. Well, if that was the case, and I brought up maybe levels of awareness, or I refreshed some things some people may have heard me talk about, even in the virtual retreat I just did, it may have been new. But odds are 75% of it wasn't. Like, you knew what you heard about it, you learned from it somewhere. Because that's at least the feedback that I was receiving in my DM and in Telegram. For those of you who were part of it, like, it was a refresher to hear this again. I need to get to work. But see, that's not my concern. Let's diagnose the real problem. The diagnosis is, when you try to get to work on your own, what has caused you to not finish? Is it you don't have somebody watching you? Is it that, when I say watching, you don't have to be one-on-one. It could be simply you got to turn in work in a portal because you know somebody's going to review it. It can be our team is going to email you in the first couple of months in the program at least 2 times, nudging you saying, hey, what, you ain't did blueprint. What's going on? We ain't seen your framework. Yes, we will hit you. And we do that so that we can nudge you just in case life starts lifing. But if you keep saying that it's a capacity issue and you're not willing to slow down and diagnose the real problem, which is sometimes not strategy, and you keep comparing yourself to an old standard, you're going to keep living in the past and you're going to keep having results from the past, AKA no growth from the past. Okay. So are you also tired because you've overworked or because you're working on things that do not even match your calling? You're trying to go into or grow an existing stream of income, but that's not your calling. And you're like, but that's what's going to make me money right now. And that's fine. But when are you going to give yourself time to work on what is your calling? Okay. So, lastly, I want to share with you how I stopped treating symptoms by just working harder. And instead, how I took a step back and I assessed and I realigned. And I kind of somewhat start telling you this earlier with the timeline. But this year, I went into this year saying, and don't laugh at me, you know what I'm saying? This was just my like identity words. 50% of my week, I'm gonna be a stay-at-home mom. And it didn't mean literally I'm a stay-at-home mom. It just meant that when my son comes home from school, an hour before that, I need to shut down my laptop. I need to intentionally eat lunch and watch things that don't make me think about business. I have a whole nother YouTube channel profile on my TVs and my phone that only have like girly girly stuff, gut health, Disney mom stuff, travel stuff, like ain't nothing got to do with business. I haven't typed anything for the algorithm to even show me anything about a business. And if it does, I make sure that if I accidentally subscribe, that I unsubscribe from that channel and that I subscribe from it from the Dr. TK profile. Okay. So I also may watch like Netflix or something like that of reruns that I used to watch. But I am very intentional that when my son walks in his house, I no longer want to be telling him even because that's not good. Oh man, I'm tired. I'm tired. I need to rev up, cook him lunch so that we can do his homework. We got a rhythm, we got a schedule going. And then from there, we take a brain break. I take a rest. I might watch some TV. He play a little game. And when it cools down, because it's hot out here, when it cools down, then we go outside. If not, we might play a game. We might, go somewhere, get some ice cream, run a Starbucks. I've been playing around with doing some types of homework, maybe at a Chick-fil-A or something like that. But halfway through the week, I want to have intentional days where I'm not even heavy on like serving clients, doing content creation. I'm just being a person in my home. I may clean up. I may do nothing, but probably go to the gym. Okay. So those are some of the things that I've done intentionally in this season to take a step back because if I keep going and going and going, I'm just going to tire myself out. And I cannot do that even for my sanity, for myself, let alone my family. But taking a step back also allows me to realign myself with what I want to do. So if your life was a therapy session, what would be the diagnoses for you right now? Like what would be the name? And what will be the treatment plan that you should be working toward? Okay. And you don't know the treatment plan unless you know the symptoms of the diagnoses. Okay. So some reflections I want you to leave with is the truth about looking back is that it does drain the life that you currently have from you. The future requires you to trust what it has prepared for you, even when the present feels uncomfortable. For me personally, cutting $400,000 a year in business, as I reflect back on it, it was never about a loss. It was about choosing life, choosing alignment, choosing abundance in the right places for me. It doesn't matter what anybody else thinks. I'm literally like allowing another layer of me that has always been there. She come out a little bit, from time to time, but she's starting to come out more and more regarding like, I don't care what anybody thinks. When I publish, I cut a program that was 200K. I intentionally cut 400K worth of activities. Somebody might be thinking, because I thought all this, right? Somebody might be thinking like, how can she teach scale if she didn't scale? I did. I have the ability to scale back and see this is why. I didn't lose my skill set. I can literally roll over in a bed tomorrow and I can say, I'm going to create a wait list for this type of product or service. I know how to launch products like the back of my hand. Clients and community members that have been a part of our world, y'all know your girl can launch something and write an ebook in 24 hours. So because I already know what to do, I've invested my time and money into getting mentorship to help me and have resources to know exactly what I need to do and when. Okay. So if I want to launch for in my business by December, I can. But what's important for me right now is scaling my abundance in my health and in my family. So does this mean I still don't launch products and services? That's not what it means. It just means that some things may be archived. You may see an email and I may not even give a warning. I may put it on sale. I might not. And I may say, hey, this is available right now. When you click on it, it may not even go to a page because it's not going back to regular price. It's not available, but I don't need to always blast out a countdown. To me, if you want it, get it. If you have the mindset that you waiting on me to put it on sale, you just about to keep waiting, right? If you have the mindset that I'm gonna wait until she has the 6 boot camp that I don't went to sign up, this is a big one. If you've attended 5 of our boot camps for private practice in the last, let's just say 3 years, think about 3 years of money and transformation that you could have had by going to 6 boot camps and compare where you were to where you are now. Not saying you have not made any progress, but think about how much progress you would have had if you would have invested even in time to shortcut 3 years. Okay. So, final listener like takeaway. What chapter in your life is God asking you to close so you can actually open up a new one? So, remember, go down to the description box or the show notes. Check out these takeaway journal prompts. Make sure that you stay tapped into YouTube podcasts. Also check out my vlogs, shameless little plug, you know what I'm saying? I have started uploading. I'm gonna start uploading in September, our whole week of when we went to Hawaii and Disney Aulani. I did interweave why I did a CEO retreat, but you also get to see, to me, this is the cool part, at least for my mentors. I was attracted to mentors who not just showed me their business, but showed me what kind of life they built because of the success of their business. And that's one thing that I believe I'm always going to keep part of my brand. That's why I say I have a mixture of like strategic business and lifestyle branding a business, because I want people to see that you don't have to shut down your life in order to have a business. Right. So we're going to be putting that out over the next week. If you are not subscribed to the YouTube channel, please go ahead and do that. 75% of people who be watching my videos or listening to these podcasts do not subscribe, but y'all be coming back. So show your girl you here. Comment on the bottom. Let's do this because I know you made it to the end. If you want podcasts, go over to YouTube. If you made it to the end, I want you to comment below. What would be the title of your book if you had to title this year of your business and life? Like combine those two. What would be the title of your book if it was a reflection of 2025, right? I don't need no subtitle. I don't need table of contents, just the title. All right. And let's chop it up in the comment box. This is our community. I love y'all. Please come back for the next one and make sure that you check out those vlogs where I take you behind the scenes of what it looks like to design a life first business. All right. You have a great day. Bye.